All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. We are recording and underway, and I'll call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We are here for questions to directors prior to our regular council meeting, which will be starting at 7 o'clock. I will ask everybody who is able to please rise, and Councilman Pacina, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Putting our hands over our heart, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll now ask the clerk to please read the call of the meeting.
Police of the City of Middletown, greetings. By authority of the state of Connecticut, you are hereby commanded to summon and notify Eugene P. Nocera, Megan R. Carta, Jeanette Blackwell, Vincent J. Lafredo, Darnell Ford, Edward McKeon, Grady L. Faulkner Jr., Philip J. Pacina, Anthony S. Gennaro Sr., Edward Ford Jr., Linda Salafia, Anthony Mangiafico, members of the Common Council of the City of Middletown, to attend a special meeting of said Common Council for the purpose of holding the Questions to Directors workshop on department agenda items for the regular Common Council meeting. Said meeting shall be a hybrid meeting to be held in the council chamber of the municipal building in said city and remotely via WebEx at Join a Meeting, event 2339-389-6759 on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. Hereof fail not but make due service and return to the clerk of said city 3 hours prior to the time of fixed meeting. City of Middletown, June 14th, 2022, attested by Honorable Benjamin D. Florsheim, Mayor. City of Middletown, June 30th, 2022. I hereby certify I have delivered an attested copy of the foregoing order and attached agenda of the Common Council meeting to each and every council member named above via electronic mail. Attested by Eric Costa, Chief of Police.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will declare the call a legal call and the meeting a legal meeting. And we are here this evening, as always, for questions to directors for items on the agenda and related items. So any council members with questions for directors, we'll open the floor up. And we do have, as people might have surmised, we've got a number of folks joining us on WebEx as well for directors. So we will get right into questions. And I'll start with Councilman Lafredo.
Thank you, Your Honor. In particular, one of the resolutions that we're dealing with, Your Honor, this evening is the resolution dealing with the Partnership Initiative program. Is there anyone here, one of the directors, that has some comprehensive knowledge of that MOU?
I think that Chris Holden would probably be the appropriate person to speak to that, so we can bring him up forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So have we done this in the past? Is this a new arrangement that we have with Eversource, or is this something that we traditionally have done over the past several years?
No, I don't believe we've done this in the past. This is a new program that we're teaming up with them. They provide the funding, and we run essentially a outreach program to better educate Middletown residents in regards to energy efficiency programs that they fund, that we'll be able to get out to the community.
So at the end of the day, are they going to give us anything in particular financially to?
Yep. So the grant is up to $55,000. We've gotten kind of a late start. It was supposed to start in January and runs to the end of the year. So we could get up to $55,000, but I believe it's going to be somewhat less than that.
So how is the community going to be made aware of this program? What are we doing now?
So that the whole funding is based on getting the word out. That's all it is it's an educational campaign to get information out to the community. We're going to develop a plan working with Kim O'Rourke in our office to develop the plan of how we're going to get that information out. So it'll help help people convert from fossil fuels to heat pumps, more insulation, and other improvements to the homes for energy efficiency, and how they might go about getting funding from the Eversource or other programs that are available. So that's the HESIE, Home Energy Solutions, income eligible. So that's for medium to low income households there's more funding available for those.
Okay, so since you said, are they going to extend us that we could get a full year, or are we just going to be able to run this for a half a year?
No, it'll just run through the end of this year.
End of this year?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do the best we can to expend whatever funds and get as much information out as we can during that time period.
Okay. All right, the other is the Clean Energy Task Force, which I serve on with Councilman Ford, and you serve as staff. Has this been, were they any part of this with them or not?
Yep, so this was actually back when Michael Harris was working with the city. He applied for this funding maybe almost a year ago, maybe in the fall of last year for this funding.
Okay.
And he put together the grant applications.
Right. And I guess just a follow-up to that, because that was another question you're under. I know that Michael is no longer part of the city employment. Where are we with, as far as replacing or having someone available to actually do the kind of work that Michael was engaged in, or is that yet something being worked on? Where are we at with that?
It was in the budget, so it was in the Public Works budget, and we're still working on a job description to get that fleshed out, and then we'll hire that person eventually.
Okay, and what are we, I guess in the budget, if you recall, what would be the remuneration for someone?
I believe it was somewhere in $55,000 range, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it was somewhere in that range was the number that was in the budget.
Okay, all right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Director Holding? Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to piggyback.
I'm not sure if your mic's working. I can't really hear you. I don't know if
Sorry, Director Holden. Just to follow up on Councilman Lafredo's question regarding the Home Energy Solutions Program, what's the income level? I don't see it listed here. Do you happen to know that? Just curious.
I don't know that off the top of my head what the cap is for that, for the household incomes. Sorry.
Just curious. I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people will be interested in that aspect of the program. Thank you.
And we'll make sure to get the details on that. Yeah, thank you. All right, Councilman Pacino.
Yeah, along with Councilwoman Blackwell's question, which was a very good question, is it your plan to work with the Ministerial Alliance? And, because they were really instrumental in getting the inoculations out when we were, having the COVID issue at that level. So I would only suggest that you contact them, and maybe even Gary with the Community Health Center, because they have the contacts, because, I'm glad to hear that for the income level, that they're going to be addressed and have the same opportunities as all of us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman. And yes, I think that developing partnerships is what this is all about, or continuing working ones. So any other questions for Director Holden? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. And we'll have to, Councilman, on your question about the budget number, I believe that it was in the budget, salaried at approximately $90,000 at that line. But there was also a separate line that I think that Chris was referring to for use towards that and towards clean energy projects. So we'll get around the details. But in terms of the hiring process, that is where we are at. So
Thank you, Your Honor.
you're welcome. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? I know we have a little bit of an unusually sparse agenda tonight. Councilman McKeown.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not sure that this goes to a specific director, and it might be a question that you could help answer. I've gotten a few questions in the past week about the state statute, fair rent statute, and that Middletown has to respond to it. I'm just wondering, is there a department that's assigned to responding to it, and what the status of that might be? Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit because it's been subject of discussion amongst multiple departments at this point, and we haven't decided if one department will own it or if it will be sort of directed through my office or and throughout the city. But the new law that Councilman McKeown is referring to is a law that was actually written and introduced by our state representative, Q. Williams, at the state level to require that all municipalities with a population of 25,000 or above establish a fair rent commission that can hear complaints, can hear from tenants and from landlords in the hopes of being able to resolve disputes around rental rates, increases, that sort of thing. And also, although it's a little bit limited in terms of what, in terms of our understanding of enforcement actions that the city would be able to take, also gives some ability for that commission to take enforcement action and to overturn decisions that were made by landlords for rental increases that are shown to be unjustified or capricious. So that is something that we really welcome. We are excited to be able to have the opportunity to set this up. It's something that we could have had before and that some communities around the state have had before, but it is now being required, and we want to make sure that in light of that requirement, we set up a commission that is empowered to do good work. So we have been working with Economic and Community Development, General Counsel's Office, Office of Equal Opportunity Diversity Management, which manages the Jones Fund, a number of other departments to try to wrap our hands around the best strategy forward. The hearing, as I imagine you have from some of the same people about the desire to have something that is going to be effective. We have a housing crisis all over the state, a housing affordability crisis all over the state. We are no stranger to it here, and as we especially move towards developing new housing to try to alleviate that, we are going to have to make sure that we have the city set up to hear those complaints, hear those issues, resolve them before they become issues. And one of the things that Representative Williams has been talking with the city about, that we have been hearing from housing advocates around the state, is that in general, disputes that these commissions resolve don't lead to enforcement. They resolve them as sort of similar to how the Board of Assessment Appeals can sometimes work with both parties to come to an agreeable outcome. That is sort of the goal here as the legislation was written. That's our understanding, but also to give that enforcement power where it's needed. So it is a nascent process, but we are taking it very seriously, and something that I hope that Middletown can be a leader on as we set these up around the state. Thank you, Your Honor. All right, Councilman Lafredo.
Just as a follow-up, Your Honor, so every municipality is a population of 25,000 or more?
Correct.
Correct. All right, so do you know if, and I'm not that directly familiar, but I guess your office is, thankfully, with this new requirement, has the state providing any assistance financially to implement, because the staffing and requirements of all the rest, do you know if they have actually put any money with their new requirement?
They have not. That one of the things that we are trying to figure out how to handle effectively is we don't believe that this can be an effective commission as an all-volunteer commission. Okay. We have seen we have attempted things along those lines in the past, and especially given the nature of the issues involved, there's going to need to be professional support to achieve the mission that's being set out. So anticipating what those costs are going to be to the city and trying to prepare for them is a big part of the process, and part of that will be working with the state to see what types of support they might be able to provide. So
the timeline in requirement for municipalities of our size and others to actually implement this is what?
I believe that it's July of next year. June or July of next year is the deadline. I think that in many respects, that is sort of an in many respects that is to ensure that municipalities are getting underway and taking this seriously. There was a deadline that Middletown met, but many municipalities did not meet as it relates to the newly required affordable housing plans that were.
When they look at Middletown on the average, as far as our size, we are doing more than our fair share community-wise. I'm sure there's always more to be done, but unfortunately, you look at the reports and all the rest, which is sort of like we're missing the boat here. That other communities are doing little or nothing, and then I don't know why 25,000 was the magic number of population, and why not 20 or 10 or 15, but that's another argument. But the other is very disturbing to me, without the need of all that's there. And this community would clearly step up and be more than willing to be a part of this and doing this a fair and equitable and appropriate way. But clearly, it's not the kind of thing, and I think your comments are well taken, I believe, that you could just a bunch of volunteers can just show up. People need to be trained. They need to understand the responsibility and, of course, the parameters and all the rest. So I think we need to, talk to our legislative delegation and the rest that they really need to provide some financial assistance and training and whatever that would help to make this a venture that services everybody's need. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, and I would certainly agree with those comments. So thank you. We want to make sure that this is effective as we move forward, and now those partnerships will be key. So, and the funding will be key. So, Councilman Pacino.
Yes, Your Honor, just a little help here. I believe we have a housing coalition in the city, and we should not have the burden on us alone. And we've done well in the history of our city with the public and private partnerships. So I would respectfully suggest that maybe contacting the chamber and seeing if we can get the banking institutions on board, because I know I was on a committee anyways, I was on a committee just the end of last term and the early beginning of this term involving the housing coalition, involving Liberty Bank, I believe, and the banks. So just as a respectful suggestion, there might be someone you could turn to and do a total community collaboration on this new law. And maybe we can be a model for the rest of these communities, because I think we can do it, because we have the track record, as you know. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. And that reminds me of something that I think is worth mentioning in these conversations is that while it is a fair rent commission and it is set up to handle issues that arise between renters and landlords, the solution for housing more broadly and making housing affordable in Middletown and Connecticut more broadly also has to do with home ownership and first-time home ownership. And I know that there are partnerships between realtors and banks and businesses that have happened in Middletown in the past that people, you just referred to, Councilman, that you were involved with, that others have mentioned as this process has taken underway. So first-time home ownership and affordable home ownership, I think you're right. We have to look at all of the above, and this is one of the ways we can do that. So, all right. Any other questions for directors? We have some folks on WebEx too.
Your Honor, I move we adjourn.
All right. Well, we'll have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
All those in favor, please say aye. All right. We'll stand in adjournment at 6:20. Thank you, everybody who's on WebEx, and we'll see you back here at 7 o'clock for the regular meeting.